Hey guys, it's SO Bassmaster here, and today I'm going to be talking about my top 5 springtime bass fishing lures. So as you know, in the springtime, the bass are going to be moving up to the shallow water, they're going to be spawning, and they're going to be really hungry. So when they move up to the shallows, they're going to be getting all fat and chunky before the spawn. So that's a really good time to catch them. So one of my favorite lures, because we have a ton of bait fish in our lakes, we do not have shad in Oregon. We have them in some rivers, but none of the bass are in those rivers. We have some smallmouth too. But I really like to throw the bait fish lures. We have bluegill, we have perch, and we have crappie, and we have trout. And those are our bait fish around this time of year, so I like to throw those pattern of crankbaits and stuff and all kinds of other lures to get into the year. So I like to throw a chartreuse crankbait around this time of year. Right before they get up to the spawn, they're going to be eating all kinds of bait fish, getting fat and chunky for the spawn. And I like to throw this on like a medium action rod with a semi-fast tip, and you just crank this along really slowly because they're still going to be a really finicky fish, but they're going to be all fat and chunky, and they're going to eat this crankbait up. Now we're going to be moving on to my second favorite lure, and that is going to be a jig. I like to throw the jig, the jigs work all around the time of the year, but jigs get the bass really irritated if they're on their beds. I like to throw it with some craw trailers. These Havoc rocket craws are really sick. I'll show you guys some really fast. And it depends on what the color of water is. I like to stick with this like purple-headed jig if it's murkier water with the skirt. And this is made by Burke's Baits. You guys can find them on Instagram, so go hit them up. And these jigs are phenomenal. So I like to throw it with this craw. These craws do amazing. That's the Rocket Craw by Havoc. So I like to throw those, and I like to pair it up with this jig by Burke's Baits. So that's going to be my second favorite lure, and the bass get really irritated if they get on their beds. And before the spawn happens and the bass are cruising the shallows looking for stuff to eat, the jig is a perfect lure to cast up on the banks and drag it off into the deeper water where the bigger bass like to lay. All the littler ones will be up there immediately trying to make the beds like the males, but the females will hang off for a little while until the males have made their beds. So that's going to be my second favorite lure with the craw trailer. Now my third favorite lure is going to be the same craws on a Texas rig, or just a little rig that I like to throw around this time of year. So the bass are still going to be in their spawning mode, so I like to throw it on a little like weighted hook, and I like to throw that and just drag it along like a jig. And the bass, they will hammer this lure. They will destroy it if it gets on their bed, because bass hate craws this time of year. And also like a little swim bait would do really good this time of year, so I like just to have a Texas rig tied up on it just to throw stuff on. And I like to throw this on my carrot stick with a Lew's Speed Spool Tournament MG. Or MB. Sorry, I messed up. But yeah, this is a nice little rod and reel, and it's really great for throwing Texas rigs and stuff on it. I like to just drag it along. I've got 35-pound braid on here. Now, our lakes are a little bit clearer, so if it gets really clear, I would like to throw not straight braid. I would put a leader on it. But if it's really murky, I would just throw it straight braid, and I would just flip around the heavier cover in case the females are laying there. For my fourth lure, we're going to be moving into one of my favorites, one of my personal favorites that I'm starting to get into a lot more. And I've got this finesse setup, and I like to throw a shaky head on it. And what the shaky heads do around this time of year is it's a really good finesse tactic to finesse the females out. And this is a good bed fishing lure. You could get like a white worm, white trick worm, and you could see it, or a pink one or something. And you want to just drag that along, and they're going to hammer this thing. The bass before the spawn are going to be destroying these lures. And I like to pair with the shaky head up. I like to pair it up with my spinning rod and reel. This is a Daiwa Procaster's rod and a Shimano Sienna reel. And I like to pair that up with that. And I've got 15-pound braid on here with a 10-pound monofilament leader so the bass can't see it. And I'm starting to get into the more finesse style lures and stuff around this time of year because the bass are just going to overall hammer these lures. I'm going to be moving into my fifth and final bait, and this is going to be a really unique bait that I like to throw around this time of year. It's just before the bass spawn, and they're going to be moving and searching all for those bait fish, like I've said. And they're going to just destroy this lure. I've already caught them on this in the middle of winter time. So I like to move into this time of year with a underspin. Now, the blade that I had that fell off, so I put on like a little willow blade, so it still pumps really hard. Well, it thumps in the water. And I like to use this on monofilament, and I like to just throw it across the banks when they're starting to move up. And this is not a really good bed fishing bait. I like to throw like a little Kitech on it and just swim it along the banks, and hopefully you'll get hit by a big female. And yeah, it's one of my favorite lures. And what makes the underspin so unique is the blade and the whatever trailer you run. I like to throw the Kitechs and flukes on this lure, and once you throw it on there, you're just gonna slowly crank it along the banks, and you're just gonna get absolutely hammered. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed my video, so please leave a like and subscribe.